David is a super special teacher to me, especially because I know he really cares about my success. He really took the time to understand me and what I was trying to build. And uh, the people he's drawn to him, the environment he created for us to work together was just so key to me. It was exactly what I was looking for, and I'm so glad. The biggest roadblock that I overcame working with David came as a surprise. In our very first meeting, David called me out on something. I wasn't expecting it. He told me I was telling him why I had very little control over my money. I started to tell him a really good story about how I had trouble with math in school and how I ended up uh, getting in debt early. And he listened to this for a while, and then he just stopped me and he says, you're telling yourself a really good story about money, and basically called me out on it, that I was using it as an excuse. How long would I continue to use it as an excuse? Well, um, it was a huge roadblock for me, and I didn't realize it. So he opened my eyes to it and gave me the opportunity to adapt a new mindset during this challenge, to stop telling that same old story and to start going forward thinking of myself as someone who could be in control over money. And so I really appreciate that. That's been such the biggest takeaway for me from the whole challenge. So the specific results that I got, now David asked us to set some specific goals, and I chose to try to make $15,000 in additional income during the period of our up-leveling group. This was a big stretch. It was a big number for a relatively short period of time, and I didn't I can't say I had a clear picture of where that money was going to come from. So David pushed and prodded and continued to hold me accountable and ask me how I was doing on that. So the results were amazing. A month before the end of the challenge, I was looking back at my income, and I could see that averaging all the months before the challenge, in 1 month period of time, I had increased my income by $3,000, which covered the cost of my participating in his program. I was pretty tickled about that. So at the end of the challenge, I did those same numbers again and was thrilled to discover that I had earned an extra $5,000 in the next month. So that brought me up $8,000. I thought, so I didn't hit the 15,000, but I did more than half, so that's pretty exciting. Well, then my friend Therese, who's also here in the group, I said, my recurring income is up too. She says, well, are you counting that? I said, no. And she says, well, let's do that math. So my recurring income, my projected recurring income is up over $2,000, and that is sustainable over the next 6 months. There's every reason to expect that those recurring incomes, that those streams will maintain during the 6 months. And so she says, I think you should add that in. It's income you generated during the challenge. So I met my goal. I've actually generated $17,000 in additional income. It's just that the rest of it will come over the next 6 months. So I'm super excited about that. Would I recommend that other people work with David in this environment? I freaking love the mastermind element of this group. we were put together with other people who are on our level as far as where they are in building our businesses and where we are in our income. Being together each week with people who are as serious as I am about growing was very powerful. Reporting into David was very powerful, and he held our feet to the flame. He accepted no excuses. He pre- pre- he presented us with an environment that let us thrive, and it worked. Thank you, David.